Welcome to BlackBeardLogic on the Guns and the 701 Network. Let's get it. Leon here with BlackBeardLogic. Get out to my truck this morning, and this is what I was dealing with. Another beautiful morning, turn the key, and yeah, that's blue smoke. Just what I needed. Set me back 2 days. My truck is gargling gravel and coughing up a storm. But I can fix it. Here we go. We don't need that. Do without that. That's probably optional. Moving on to phase 2. Yeah. I probably should have just called Laura Auto Repair. If you've got auto issues, call this guy, Doug at Laura Auto Repair. And don't be like me. Seriously, call this guy. Don't be like this guy. BlackBeardLogic. Welcome back. Leon Francis, your host of BlackBeardLogic Tonight. Oh, it was a good Friday today. And then I decided to look at social media, and that's probably a thing you should never do. Never. Because it's crazy times a million. Like, there is an actual discussion now about repealing the 19th Amendment. Like, it's crazy. what I'm talking about, and we're gonna have North Dakota State Representative Desiree Morton on later in the show, but I wanted to open the show with this insanity that is the Lindsay Clancy case. Not so much the case. I mean, the case is heartbreaking. It really is. Let me know if you guys can hear me okay. But it's the insanity surrounding these chicks, and even on my page, like these chicks here in support of this woman. The thing that we should all be supporting and mourning and praying for are these kids right there. That's Cora, Dawson, and Callan Clancy right there. And the woman that just so many women, and even a couple of guys that I don't understand this. Like, how are we so dumb? All right. Let's dig into this thing because I want to get it out of here before I talk to Representative Morton about more pressing matters. But my God, this thing has the online conspiracy theories are nuts. They're insane, and it's all coming from TikTok and a couple of influencers that have captivated women. There are women who don't believe she did the thing that she admitted to doing. Like, she does not say, I didn't do this. That's not what she says. She has detailed out how she did this, even in the trial. And you got TikTok brain. And again, on my social media, I've said multiple times today, stay off TikTok. There's nothing good over there. But if you so much have TikTok brain, this is how you know. This is how you know your friend has TikTok brain and has been watching this on TikTok. They'll say dumb things like, sailor knots. Or, did you even watch the trial? That's the big one. That's the tell. If they say that to you, they got their information from TikTok. They did not watch any of the trial. If they say, Patrick did it. No, they have video of the guy. Video of him nowhere near the house at CVS. He didn't do this. Stop doing that. Stop saying that. That's idiotic. My God. And then you got these women who are supporting her. She murdered her own children. Here, let's talk about the charges here. Let's get this out of the way right here. So Lindsay Clancy is charged with 3 counts of first-degree murder in the January 24th, 2023 strangulation deaths of her children, Cora 5, Dawson 3, and Callan 8 months. So if you got TikTok brain right now and you support Lindsay, sit on your hands. These are 3 very young lives. I'm sorry. God help me. This makes me so mad. It makes me so mad that internet influencers can influence people that I thought had rational heads in their brains in their head to say that this woman didn't. She said she did it. She is suing for malpractice because she did this thing. She did it. Patrick was nowhere around. Nowhere around. He hadn't met his wife, his new wife yet. That's a lie. He wasn't having an affair on her. That's a lie. So everything your TikTok brain has told you is a lie. Stop doing that. She is charged with 3 counts of first-degree murder for these little baby kids. The defense, that's her, argues that she lacked criminal responsibility due to postpartum psychosis and over-medication. That's their argument. Not that Patrick did it, or Patrick and his wife did it, or anybody else did it. It was her. And her defense to what she did is that she lacked criminal responsibility due to postpartum psychosis and over-medication. And I'm going to surprise you. There's an argument for that. There's an argument for that. The jury is still currently deliberating, and they must decide whether prosecutors proved that she was criminally responsible. And that means that she understood her actions. She understood that her actions were wrong, and she could control them despite any mental disease or defect. And Massachusetts requires a unanimous verdict. Now, the possible outcomes are guilty of first-degree murder, premeditation, or extreme atrocity and cruelty. That's mandatory life in prison without parole. I want her to get this one. Do I think she's going to get this one? I don't. And I'm keeping it real. I do not believe that she's going to get that one, even though I believe that she is guilty of first-degree murder. The second possible outcome is guilty of second-degree murder. That's intentional but not premeditated. Life in prison without the possibility of parole. I don't think she's going to get that because she sent her husband to the store. There is internet tracks on their shared computer that indicated that she mapped this out so that he would be away. Not to mention, when he called her, she was calm, cool, and yeah. He called her when she was in the middle of doing this. So again, if you're saying that Patrick did it, you're an idiot. Patrick did not do this. Her husband did not. When he called, she was in the middle of doing this. It's again. So I don't believe that she'll be found guilty of second-degree murder because both sides kind of proved that it was intentional and premeditated. She could get sentenced guilty of manslaughter. That's wanton or reckless conduct without intent to kill. I don't believe she's going to get that because, again, she murdered these kids. Like, personal. Just, she told the investigators that when she was doing it, she said, I will see you in heaven. We're going to see each other in heaven. She chased down one of the children. Like, none of this is in dispute. She told the investigators what she did. She told her husband what she did, her then husband. She, in her lawsuit for malpractice, goes through what she did. So there is no Patrick did it. Patrick and his wife did it. They're out riding bike after. Stop it with that nonsense. That makes us look idiotic. I can't believe that I'm even having this conversation with folks that I thought still do. I mean, we can all be duped at one point, but my God, come on. Now, this one is the one that I think is the most probable. And remember, I want the first one. I want her guilty of first-degree murder, premeditation, extreme atrocity, cruelty, mandatory life. And as a matter of fact, if she was in a different state, I would push for the death penalty. This was cruel. Oh. And there's no question that she's insane. No question about that. But I don't think that should get you life in prison. I'm sorry. I have a hard time with that. I can't. Yeah, you're right, JD. The same people who are taking no, and JD, that's not even right. I have people who I've been friends with for, well, not so many males, but the majority female. I had the midwife that we had for Eli is on the other side. Like, rational center-right women. So it's not, and I guess Owen and I can't say that word, dude, and Carlson and all of that stuff. Get off the conspiracy call. Yeah, 100%. Like, it's insane. It's TikTok brain rot. Now, back to the charges here. She could be found not guilty by reason of lack of criminal responsibility. Now, again, this is the one I think, just because of the amount of women that are on that jury, this is the one I think they're going to go for. Not the one I want, which is the very first one. Not guilty by reason of lack of criminal responsibility. That's the insanity defense. This is an acquittal on the criminal charges. The court can order a period of observation and examination and that sort of thing for 40 days. Prosecutors or hospital officials can then seek involuntary commitment if she's found mentally ill and a danger. She will be found mentally ill. I guarantee that. But a danger, I don't know. An initial commitment is typically about 6 months, and it can be renewed. She could remain hospitalized long-term or indefinitely, yada, yada, yada. Or there could be a hung jury. And the judge would declare a mistrial. Prosecutors could retry the case. They could also just find her not guilty. I don't think that's going to happen. Nobody thinks that's going to happen because she admitted multiple times that she did this. So her defense is the one that her defense is putting forward. It is that she's not guilty by reason of insanity. That's the defense. So everyone's saying that, oh, she didn't do it, and Patrick did it. Good God, come on now. Come on now. I mean, her own defense does not contest that she killed the kids. Her entire defense hinges on her mental wellness. That's what it is. So I don't believe that not guilty is going to be a thing. Not guilty by reason of lack of criminal responsibility. I think that's the one she's going to get. And in my humble opinion, it's a damn shame. It's a damn shame. And on my post this morning that just got so much interaction, most of it was good. But I saw a through line. Like on everything that I posted on this, there was one sentence that came that was like the through line to all of the people that were like on the fence or saying Patrick did it, or did you even watch like verbatim, did you even watch the trial? That was it. And then the same talking points about Patrick and how he didn't like his eye contact, and he doesn't even love the kids. You could tell in his when he was talking about it in his testimony and blah blah blah. He's riding bikes and blah 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 and this and that. And he got married. Who gets married that quick? Well, this woman destroyed your life, and that was in what 2020. When was that? When did that happen? 2023? They got married last month. So spare me. He didn't just hop right back in it. And the dude had a huge hole in it. And why are we even talking about him? She did this thing. This horrible thing. And then you got idiots like this out there. Here, this is part of the problem. Women like this. Check this out.
Hi, Lindsay. I'm Dr. Sterling. I don't even know if...
Now, this is a doctor. OBGYN. She has like apps and different things. I want you to understand that. This is a woman who counsels other women. And I want you to hear what she says.
Allowed to watch videos like this, if someone can show it to you, I don't know. But I want you to know that I believe you. From my perspective as an OBGYN, I believe that you were over-functioning throughout your entire postpartum period. I am blown away by how hard you were working to get better, while also working as a mom. I've got 3 kids. I know how much work it is, even when you are mentally well. It's so hard to take care of 3 kids. Obviously, hindsight's 2020, but I don't know what else you could have done. You were far
not murdering your children.
What should be expected of a single individual. You have galvanized us women in a really powerful way. And I'm not quite ready to tell my story yet, but when I eventually do, it's going to be because you came first. And you showed all of us that we can be honest and we can be real about what we experience as mothers. So thank you. And, you know, I hope that you're seeing our support because we believe you.
Yeah, I'm done with that garbage. The people that I'm worried about right there, and Patrick. And you gotta think about and I'm black, so I tend to go back to what black moms went to, but you don't even have to do that. Think about what moms, when this country was founded, had to go through. All the things that they had to do. They still, while the guy is, building the community or off at the railroad or up on a skyscraper, eating his lunch or fighting off Indians, and the moms were there keeping the house and keeping the farm, taking care of the chickens and the goats and the kids. And back then they had bigger families, so you didn't just have one kid, you had like multiple kids, sometimes 8, 10, 15 kids, and they did it. And these women of unbelievable privilege are whining about how hard it is to be a mom. What have we done? What have we? These are the same women that will say to you, like she said, believe all women. and that women are strong and they can do everything that a man can do. Apparently not. Like, if this is the reaction by women, we got a problem. I'm sorry. This So this woman, she murdered her kids, strangled them. Then she jumped out of a window and survived. None of that makes sense to me. Like, listening to the testimony about that, around that, something seems off with that. It doesn't, to me, seem like she actually tried to commit suicide, because she's a nurse. She would know that the marks on her arms, and they were ineffective. She would know that, and her neck, ineffective. But that's immaterial. The second this story broke, the media and the online chorus immediately shifted into full protective mode of this woman. Oh, poor Lindsay. She was struggling postpartum. She didn't get the support she needed. Society failed her. The system failed her. Everyone failed her except, of course, her. And if we want to talk about that support that she didn't get, her husband took paternity leave. He worked from home so he could be there. He put away funds so she didn't have to go back to work if she wasn't feeling up to it after the kids. He picked up the medications, he ran the errands, he picked up the food, he paid for the nanny, which from the reports only seemed to make her angrier. Because God forbid another woman in the house could actually function. She couldn't. Both sets of grandparents were helping. She was enrolled in an outpatient postpartum program 5 days a week. She saw at least 6 different, again, because she is a woman of means and privilege. So when these women are all wee-weed up about how hard it is to be a mom, she lived in a mansion. They got a yacht. She is a labor nurse. Like, now this part here piques my interest. She was on 13 different prescribed medications. And she shopped around for doctors and for pills, the way, like, some women shop for shoes. So she's popping meds. They're doing weird stuff to her. Whatever her mental state is cycling down. And I get that part. But if you're telling me she didn't have support, like these women, like that loony doctor that I just had played here, if you're telling me she didn't, then no human being on the planet has ever or will ever have enough support. And that's without me going into what I believe the pharmaceutical industry has done to the mental health of this country, and what I think about psychiatry. I think it's all garbage. That's just my humble opinion. I think it's all garbage. Every bit of it. And I want you to think about, while they're beating up on Patrick and men in general, these pink ladies in there, just think about all the guys that, like, built the infrastructure that made women like her so comfortable that she can sit around and pout from her mansion how depressed she is. Look at those kids are beautiful. Beautiful kids. Beautiful marriage. Beautiful house. I can't understand this. And from all reports, this wasn't like a toxic masculinity. Like, this dude went out of his way to make her happy. And in my humble opinion, she didn't respect him. She didn't respect life. She didn't respect her family, her mom and dad. Like, everybody could. It's all about her, and that's what you see with these women that are protesting in her favor. The, that culture, that toxic, feminine culture, that's a problem. What It's the same culture that devalues human life by calling an embryo a clump of cells. The thing that God imprinted the imago Dei on from day one. The kid that leapt for joy when Mary came close and Jesus was an infant in Mary's belly. And John the infant leapt for joy in his mom's womb. Those little kids, this same mentality devalues them, just like she devalued the lives of these 3 precious babies right here. You can't do that and not suffer some mental psychosis. You can't. And you can't invent softer and softer language for what she did and what the feminist movement has done. So in closing on this segment, I'll just say this. She had more medical attention, more family support, more professional resources, and more pharmaceutical intervention than most people will see in a lifetime. And she still chose to do this. And we went through the charges. And what I believe is fair is murder 1. That's what I believe is fair. I don't believe that's going to happen. I also, and this might surprise you, I think that her malpractice suit has merit. I think that all of those pharmaceutical companies should be. I mean, we've seen this. We've seen the SSRIs. We've gone through the school shooting, and the one through line in all of that is pharmaceuticals. All of it. We know this. So despite me wanting her locked away for the rest of her life for murder 1, I do believe that her malpractice case has merit. Now, after watching this, if you still come on my social media and say Patrick did it, I'm going to just mute you. And I never do that. I got Thomas on my page giving me homogena every day. I don't mute people. But if you come on and you proffer an idiotic claim like the husband did it, then stay on TikTok. I'm good. I don't need you for a friend. Stop doing this. This thing is bad enough just on its face. Stop doing this. This woman is guilty. Her defense is, yes, I am guilty, but I'm not guilty by reason of insanity. I did this thing, but I was insane when I did it. And the fact that she's suing the pharmaceutical companies and her like the entire malpractice thing is fascinating. You should actually read that. And I think it has merit. But her defense is not Patrick did it. Her defense is all these medications and these people failed me and my mental health deteriorated and I did this. She told each and every kid, she told the investigators that she told these babies as she was killing them, I'll see you in heaven. Not Patrick, her. Blackbeard Logic, guns in the 701. Oh. We'll be back right after this, and we're going to talk to Desiree Morton, and I hope I calm down enough. Like, I can't do this anymore. Like, I had, like, I don't know, 5 more slides here. I'm done with this. This is idiotic. This woman is guilty. She's also insane. Those two things are not in dispute. Stop doing that. But when we come back, we're going to talk common sense with North Dakota State Representative Desiree Morton. We're going to talk about some insane claims against her character, among other things. Like we spoke, I think, maybe an hour and a half, something like that. I didn't disagree with a thing she said. Yet apparently the beta boys over at the forum and our own governor, think she's a bigot. So let's dig into that on the other side of this break. Leon Francis, Blackbeard Logic, guns in the 701, right here.
Lauer Auto Repair, located at 309 South Washington Street in Bismarck, North Dakota.
Hey, it's Leon Francis from Blackbeard Logic on the Guns in the 701 Network. I'll be right back after these messages from our sponsors. Stay tuned.
Lauer Auto Repair, located at 309 South Washington Street in Bismarck, North Dakota. Give them a call at 701-258-6308. The team of mechanics at Lauer Auto can take care of any problem your vehicle is having. And when you do business with Lauer, you can be assured you're doing business with a pro Second Amendment America First repair shop. There are plenty of other auto repair shops in the Bismarck-Mandan area. But why take a chance at patronizing a shop that might not have your beliefs at heart? Make no mistake. Lauer Auto is your pro Second Amendment repair shop. When you talk to the guys at Lauer Auto, don't forget to tell them that you heard they are a sponsor of Guns and the 701 and that you appreciate their support of our pro Second Amendment, pro North Dakota live stream and podcast. That's Lauer Auto Repair, 701-258-6308. 701-258-6308. Located 309 South Washington Street in Bismarck, North Dakota.
I am Leon Francis, and this is Blackbeard Logic on the Guns and the 701 Network. Let's get it.
Welcome back. Leon Francis, Blackbeard Logic, Guns in the 701 Network, and the voice of common sense, North Dakota State Representative Desiree Morton. Let's welcome her to the show. Hey. How are you on this fine Friday?
I am doing well. Thank you, Leon. And yourself?
I don't know. I'm a little hot under the collar.
After that last segment, that does make you hot under the collar for sure.
I'm a pro-life guy, and I'm a pro-life from conception guy, and I have been like my entire political life. I don't understand, like, and we don't have to go there. We don't have to start there. Just it gets me it gets me bothered. I'm the guy that wears the baby feet on my lapel. I go.
For you.
That's me. So, but we're not here to talk about me. We're here to talk about you. You And just for a little background, we homeschool our youngest son Eli. When I was in Fargo, I put my kids through Shanley and Oak Grove. But when we moved out here, we were like, yeah, there's problems all over. So
Yep, that's true.
homeschooling is the way to go, and I encourage everyone, every show, and you can go back through all of my shows at least twice. On my shows, I say pull your kids out of public school and homeschool them. If COVID taught us anything, it's that.
Yeah.
Who have spent decades homeschooling 5 kids, and you live the family first life most of us claim to value. And then you ran in 2024 because I got a feeling you were tired of the way things were running. Status quo wasn't enough, that sort of thing. So, what convinced a homeschool mom to throw her hat into the ring?
Well, I tell you honestly, I had no desire to be in politics. It was not even on my radar at all, ever. Um, but we needed a seat filled, and I said, okay, I'm going to pray about it. I'll talk to my family. My family was all on board, um, and the Lord just really prompted me to run. And so I said, okay, if you want me to run, if I win, it's because you want me there, and I'll do what you desire me to do, and do what I can for the state of North Dakota and its citizens. So yeah, that's making a long story quite short. I was perfectly content being at home, just being mom and grandma, and a good daughter to my elderly mother, and a wife, and all those things. So this has changed my life a lot, and I'm very busy, but it's good. I enjoy it to a point. Parts of it I don't enjoy so much, but
Right.
I do feel that I have a responsibility to the residents of North Dakota, the citizens, and that's why I'm here.
So, why do you feel like you have a responsibility? Let your political ideology. Can you give us like just a little synopsis of that? Like, are you like a individual liberty guy? Are you well, gal? Sorry, didn't mean to misgender you. I'm sorry.
No, you're fine. No worries. No worries. I knew what you meant.
Or-
Yeah, no, I grew up in a very Christ-centered home. My parents were strong Republicans, and I knew at a really young age that it was the best to be a Republican, because when Barry Goldwater ran against Lyndon B. Johnson, I was, I think, 6 at the time, something like that. And a neighbor friend of mine, her parents were very Democrat. And so we would talk, as little as we were. I think she was a couple of years older than I was, but we would talk about who was going to win the presidency. At 6 years old, I'm discussing and saying, of course, Barry Goldwater is going to win. That's who I want. That's my man. So she brings out 2 pictures, one of Barry Goldwater and one of Lyndon Johnson, and shows them to me. And I picked the wrong guy because I didn't know what he looked like. So I will remember that forever. But yeah, ever since I can remember, I've been a Republican. My parents, they were very involved in always watching every convention and my mom was actually in the Republican Party, worked in the Republican Party in Fargo for a while, and then she quit, which I ask her sometimes, why did you do that? And she didn't really have a good reason for it. But so I never was in politics. I wasn't involved. We voted all the time, and we talked about what we didn't like, what was happening. But I saw I looked at things mostly like, oh, it's a federal problem. We need to change things at the federal level. And I didn't really realize until I got involved, and it was only probably in 2023, I think was the first time I actually went to a District 46 meeting and thought, oh, wow, okay. And after that, we just, see things happen. You see the money being spent. You think, why are we spending money on this and not on this? And why are taxes going higher? And all these things that you don't really understand when you're just kind of citizen looking at it from the outside. So I thought, well, I think we need a conservative voice in District 46. And
What is
so
that conservative voice? What is
yeah,
that conservative voice?
yeah,
Sorry.
it's okay. Michelle Powers, my senator, she is, I mean, we're on the same page too. So we're a really good team. We enjoy visiting with each other and talking about strategies and different things that we're going to do. So it's nice to have a good partner as well.
Okay. I know I've been on the so the Republican platform. I was on the commission to draft those up. I don't know, maybe 4 times since I've been in the area. Uh, so the North Dakota Republican platform. What are the major planks that you believe in that we used to all believe in? It's kind of changed a little bit, but yeah. Tell me what your thoughts are on what the North Dakota Republican platform is, and you holding to that. If you feel that it's made you a target by some of the folks that we would call, I don't know, rhino, or in the media, and that's leftist and conservative media. Uh, so tell me about those Republican planks that you believe are solid, and if they have made you a target by those folks.
Well, I think definitely limited government. I think we need to get our hands out of a lot of things that are not the job of the state to pay for. I think there's a lot of nonprofits and a lot of special interest projects that get funding. We do a lot of tax exemptions for big corporations. I don't think, and then we turn around and tax our own citizens. So I don't understand some of the thinking, and I definitely am very limited government. I'm very individual responsibility. I think people need to take responsibility for the things that they do. I think they need to take responsibility for things that are important to them. So if there's a nonprofit out there that you really support or that I really support, I want them to do well, then it should be my responsibility to invest in that nonprofit and not the state's responsibility to invest everybody else's money into something that maybe it's not important to them.
Yeah.
So I think we could get away from a lot of that spending and make things more responsible to the citizens, or individual liberty. I think our Constitution says life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness, and I absolutely believe that. We should be able to live our life. We should be able to have the freedoms that are given to us, not really by our Constitution, but by God, and that we should be able to afford a house and be able to raise a family. And it's getting more
vanishing. That is a vanishing dream.
It really is. Yeah, it really is. And it's very sad. And as I look at, taxes and how much money we pay in taxes, and, it's crazy what we're spending on things that are don't even apply really to, why we're sending money I'm talking about federal now, sending money to every foreign country, and yet we can't seem to take care of what we have here at home, and we just keep raising people's taxes, and that's the answer to everything.
Yeah.
We want to do this, so we'll just raise the people's taxes, and the government doesn't think they ever have to tighten their belt, but we sure do as people. And anybody who works for a living realizes that paycheck doesn't go as far as it used to. And so it's really hard, especially for younger people, to put money in the bank, and to have some sort of a savings. They're just living paycheck to paycheck, like a lot of people are. And I think that's the fault of our city governments, our state governments, and our federal government.
And they see us as kids that need to be managed.
Yeah.
I think that's a huge problem. with even city governments, all the way down to city governments, state government, federal, all of them. They see us as widgets to be managed. Like the whole school system is to just turn out cogs in this industrial wheel. They devalue our currency. They flood the country. They flood the work market with cheap labor. And I talk about this till I'm blue in the face, but they flood the market with cheap labor. They and when you put that many bodies in certain areas, then your housing, the quantity of housing goes down. So my ability to buy a house, I'm now competing because there are less houses on the market, so they
Right.
can jack those prices up. And then you have places like Hack. What is it? Berkshire Hathaway and BlackRock and all these buying up all of the houses, and the government is like, yeah, go right ahead. And then you got people like me. I'm a network engineer. I work heavily in the IT business. I build out network infrastructure, and I've said this. I've mentioned this many times on this show. I used to go out. I'm Lion Tech, IT Solutions. So I build out networks. I used to go out and submit bids and contracts, and I'd get the contracts. I did like All True with their sound and computers and Grand Forks, Les Schwab and Fargo, Moorhead and Grand Forks. So from the beginning to the end, I'm there. But over the past couple of years, it's been I'm getting called to go fix something. Some immigrant has been hired from an outside country, not just like they'll have a figurehead, I guess, in Texas, but all of them will be Haitian that show up, or all of them will be Guatemalan. None of them speak English, and I have to compete because they lowball what my wages are and have been, and so you don't get the contract. You get called in to fix things, and it's nowhere near the money. And it's us. It's like it drives me insane. And I'm in the IT department. I can imagine what it is in the construction department. The trucking industry is another big one. And we run around and we're like, oh, they're doing the jobs that the Americans want. No, that's not it. No, and see, you got me off on a rant because, and I have to be careful with your time, and I don't want to get all hot headed again. I mean, my God, that's all right. I'm going to bring it back down. But you're right about that. The government, their fingers in things always makes those things worse. Look at the medical industry, the healthcare industry, the insurance industry, the public schools, higher education. I mean, anywhere okay. I'm going to take a step back. I'm sorry. Speaking of schools, let's talk about the school meal vote. Now, the teachers union, don't get me started on those guys. Oh, we'll be here 3 hours. The media, the teachers union framed you as basically a heartless woman who wants kids to starve and die. So
Yeah.
I want you to address that. Tell the folks your thoughts on the school lunch thing and your no vote on universal free breakfast and lunch.
Yeah, that's a hot topic. Basically, I have a hard time expecting people that make $40,000 a year to pay for the lunch of some family who makes 6-digit figure salary a year. And that's basically what that meal lunch program would do. It takes that money out of the pockets of everybody to pay for the people that have the money that could afford to pay for it. Because right now, I mean, I think in 2023, the legislature passed a law, was a no shaming law, which basically was so that any child who wanted to get a meal could get a meal. No questions asked. There were no forms to fill out. There were no, where's your money? There was no, here, let me write your name down. It was nothing. There was nothing that would show that they were getting a free lunch and everybody else was paying for theirs. So
they didn't get like a brown bag and everybody got a plate.
No.
Yeah, none of that.
No. And so there were no, and this is another thing, and we talked about this a lot, is like, okay, if children are starving, why weren't the representatives getting any phone calls? I mean, if there's children starving in the schools, that means that the school districts are doing something wrong. They're not following state law.
Yeah.
Because there should be no child going hungry. And there isn't. Because I've talked to superintendents and I've asked them specifically, and they keep telling me no. And I say, well, would you go on the record with that? Well, no. They don't want to go on the record with that. Can I quote you? No. So, I mean, so this is what we have. And I was a little irritated with the governor early on with that whole school lunch program too, because he said, he stood up in front of everybody and said, it's going to pass. It's going to pass. What he should have said, in my opinion, is he should have said, no, this is not good for North Dakota. We do not want this to pass. And let's take a look at it and let's see what's actually happening before we do something about it. And I feel like that, because that was really early on in the whole thing. And I really feel like if he had stood up right away and said, no, this is a bad idea, and told the people that it would have made a huge difference in what the perception of everything is. So it started out kind of bad, and we were behind the 8 ball right away. And then when those bills came during the session, of course, I was not in support of them, because the one of them would have raised the level of, how much you could make with a family for. I think it would have raised it up to even 90-some thousand, which to me is, that is
wow.
You can't at 90-some thousand, you should be able to afford to send your kid a peanut butter and jelly sandwich.
100%.
Or whatever,
I had never made anywhere near that. Like, not,
No, I know. So that's really, for me too. It's like, and I remember when I went to school, we didn't have hot lunch at Lewis and Clark. I grew up in Fargo, and so we walked home every day from school. We had enough time. We had, I think, 45 minutes or an hour or whatever it was when we walked home, and we all got our lunch at home and ate at home and went back to school for the rest of the day. And then when I went to Agassiz, my mom said, well, if you want lunch, make it yourself. So if I didn't want to make it myself, I didn't. And then I would just eat more when I got home. It's not like, it just isn't rocket science to figure out that families should be responsible. And I'm not saying the ones that can't afford it, shouldn't get it. And they already are, because the federal kicks in dollars, and then North Dakota kicks in the rest. So I think right now it's at $72,000. I think you can make about $72,000 a year for a family of 4, and you qualify for either free or reduced lunch.
Was there ever any data proffered that showed that kids were starving?
No.
Yeah, that's what I thought. I looked for it. I couldn't find anything.
There is none. And that's the thing. It's not about, I don't know what it's about. Why do we want to? Well, I kind of know what it's about. because the head of the teacher union, which, he probably doesn't like me very well either, but, he was on that, what am I trying to say?
And what?
The ballot measure.
Oh, sure.
For the ballot measure, he was on that, and also the head of the Fargo School Board, and a lot of that, they are connected to out-of-state money. So it's really out-of-state money that's promoting this to the people of North Dakota, and that's why there's so much advertising, because normal people can't afford to advertise. It's expensive to advertise.
Yep. So
if there's a lot of advertising going on, there's a lot of money behind whatever it is that they're trying to push. And so, I for one, I pray that it does not pass. I just, the price tag they have on that is ridiculous. It's like 1 point something, I don't know, $1.5 million or whatever. I don't even remember what it was, but it was some ridiculous amount of money. And it's like, what's that money supposed to go for if the kids are already being fed? I don't get it.
Yeah.
You
I
know?
don't. I never
I
did
don't,
that. I saw all of the media and the even so. I don't listen to a lot of local media because to me it's just nauseating. Everybody's saying the same thing. But even like uh, on the internet TV, we'd get these ads, and and the ads are like basically kids are starving, Republicans are evil, blah blah blah, yada. That was the talking point, and and you're just inundated with that.
yeah.
It's insane. And I want folks to think about this. And this isn't a representative Desiree Morton saying this. This is Leon saying this. What do you think is going to happen when you flood the North Dakota school systems, especially like Fargo and Grand Forks and places like that in Bismarck, when you flood them with refugees and you expect the quality of those schools to either stay even or go up? They're not going to, and that's across the board. That everything from your GPAs to academic proficiency to like the median income of all of the kids that are all of that is affected when you do things like this. Like again, government puts itself in a place to make everything worse, and they purport to be altruistic. And it never shakes out that way, ever. And I've talked a bit about this at length, about like the academic proficiencies in the North Dakota schools. Minnesota is worse. And there are some through lines, and we're going to talk about it. But that's just my 2 cents. I'm going to take a step back, and I'm going to let you, here, let me look at my time. Here, let me hit a commercial break. And then when we come back, I want you to talk to the folks about some of the things, some of the aspirations that you have, some of the bills that you are working on that you're comfortable with speaking about now. And then we'll get into the controversy. How about that? You okay with that?
Can't wait.
Can't wait. All right. That's what I like to hear. Leon Francis, BlackBeardLogic, Guns in the 701 with North Dakota State Representative Desiree Morton. We'll be right back right after this break.
Okay, let's go.
I am Leon Francis of BlackBeardLogic on the Guns and the 701 Network. Let's get it.
Anvil Brand LLC, raising and training tomorrow's barrel horses right out of Bismarck, North Dakota. Tracy and her family are great American patriots who not only support the Second Amendment, but they also promoted what you're looking for, top quality barrel horses. Go ahead and give Tracy a call at 701-471-6629 and tell them Guns and 701.com sent you. That's Anvil Brand LLC out of Bismarck, North Dakota.
At Horton Laser Craft, we believe in the power of personalization. Whether it's a cherished memory, a special occasion, or a unique gift, our custom laser engraving brings your vision to life. Our expert craftsmen and state-of-the-art technology ensure every piece is a work of art. From personalized decor to one-of-a-kind keepsakes, Horton Lasercraft makes every moment unforgettable. Visit HortonLasercraft.com today and start crafting your perfect gift. For more info, email them at hortonlasercraft@yahoo.com or call them up at 605-545-7535. Horton Lasercraft, where memories are engraved.
Yeah, hey, look, I got the moves like Michael, the flow like Aubrey. Walk around thinking I'm a prince like Saudi. Mismatched Converse, t-shirts tucked in, know my worth, can't tell me nothing. White Nikes, albino, pink cop my stilo, head to the top, bottom line is a motto.
Welcome back. It's Leon Francis with BlackBeardLogic on the Guns and the 701 Network. Let's get it.
Let's get it indeed. I'm going to read one of these comments that I think is present. Kelly, one thing many don't think of is this. If children don't know that their parents are struggling, they tend to lose motivation to work hard because things just kind of always work out. The system is set up. I'll back up on that, actually. I think that a lot of, and this is a cultural thing also, a lot of folks depend way too much on government for like the basic needs. A lot of men that, in our culture today, and it's getting better actually, but they're not self-sufficient, self-reliant. A lot of mental health issues, and I think a lot of that is because you're living a sedentary life. Uh, like Eli, no problem. Yesterday, I'm sitting at the table. I just got in. I'm dog tired. My wife made a awesome meal. I'm sitting there, and my son runs in with a ground squirrel. Dad, look what me and Charlie. And I'm like, dude, come on now.
That's good. That's all boy there.
Yeah, 100%. I'm going to read the rest of this. The system is set up to make us dependent upon others. Yeah, the schools supplying all of these things all of these needs make us dependent on them, and the government becomes the center of the community versus the church, etc. It's a lose-lose scenario, and I'm telling you, there is no clearer on the micro than the African American community. It's something I talk about all the time. You don't have to say a word on this subject. I talk about it all the time. How government dependency just killed my culture. Like it is insane. 2 seconds on this, and then we'll. But the fact of the matter is, after the Emancipation Proclamation, all of that, black men traversed the country looking for their families, and they found them. They built with their own hands, like structures and homes and farms, and like it was tough going. But they realized, hey, now it's on me. And I don't think that spirit went anywhere. I just think it was broken because the government came in to help black folks. And it helped us into the situation that we're in now. I would argue that they didn't help us, because we got problems. And now it's on the macro. Like that was the testing dish right there. And now they just roll it out like COVID, like the COVID pills. They just got to roll it out to the entire country and wonder what's going on. Like it is stunning to me that more people don't see that point that she made. If you're dependent on government, what happens when, governments don't last very long? Like, and we are still in the experimental phase of this thing. It can go either way. What happens when all that kind of breaks down? Where are you at as a man, as a family head? Where are you at in that whole scenario? What are you teaching your kids? What are you teaching your sons? What are we leaving to the next generation? That you can do X, Y, and Z, or hey, fill out this government grant and loan and yada yada yada. Get that African feminine lesbian degree and sociology. No, we need to teach these kids like actual real world, like micro type skill sets, so they're actually able to take care of themselves and wean themselves off the government. And that's my, sorry, 2 seconds I said.
Unfortunately, this has been going on. I mean, when I went to college, I graduated in 1981 from NDSU. And when I was in college, I was very naive. Came out of, I was very protected home. I didn't see a lot of other stuff. I was just really pretty naive. But anyway, I was in a class one day and these guys were talking and I was listening to them and they were talking about collecting food stamps and they're in college. And I said, what? You're getting food stamps? Why are you getting food stamps? To me, that was like, oh my goodness, what is the matter? Well, you're taking money from the government to be able to have a job, or I mean, I had a part-time job when I went to college. College wasn't that expensive back in those days, and I had a part-time job and paid my college tuition. But they lived in the dorm, so it was a greater expense, I'm sure, for them. I stayed at home, but still, I mean, what are you teaching your kids when you're telling them it's okay to take money from the government while you're going to school? Because, I don't think you should have to save up for it, or I don't think you should have to, be burdened with that, having to have a job while you're in school.
Yeah.
Yeah. So that was kind of eye-opening for me way back when. That was a long time ago.
Yeah, once upon a time, you taught your kids, hey, if you want something, work for it. One day,
Right.
you'll get it. And the harder you work, the shorter that amount of time between you wanting something and getting something becomes. And then the harder you work for it, you might find, I don't even need that thing. I'm I'm good. I'll just put my money away. Ask Eli about fiat currency and the devaluation of the dollar. He'll tell you. And he's 8. Like,
Wow. Good for him. Yeah.
we can do this thing, guys. We can.
Well, now, I mean, we're raising our kids with the mentality that, Bobby and Susie live at home. There's, the two kids live at home, and mommy tells Bobby to go wash the dishes, and I'll pay you $2 or whatever. So Bobby goes to wash the dishes and gets it all done, and mom gives him $2, and then she says, "But you got to give Susie half of that." Why? Because she didn't really want to wash the dishes. She just wanted to watch you. So you got to pay her $1. I mean, that's kind of the thing with the home, with the meals too. It's a socialistic program is really what it is. So let's make parents not have to be responsible for feeding their children. And then you can go to the whole other extreme. Well, okay, so you've got these kids that are not being fed and they're coming to school starving, or they're not getting their breakfast, and you can tell that they're physically not doing well because they're not eating at home. Okay, so what's the responsibility of government in a situation like that? To me, I look at that and I say, okay, if this kid is being starved and not eating at home and is actually, malnutrition, where is CPS? Because to me, that's their job. And there was a case in Fargo, and I just saw it. I had seen it on the news, and it was this couple that their daughter, I believe, went to school one day with candy that was laced with drugs to give to her friends. Remember that?
I do.
And they had known about these parents. These parents had a history of drug abuse and selling drugs. And that child was still in the home. I don't get that. Yeah. Because to me, that's child abuse. And why are we not taking and rescuing these kids out of these homes where they're either not being fed or they're in drug-infested homes, or whatever the situation is? And yet, we had a situation in Bismarck, and I don't know how many people actually heard about it, but it was a gal that was pregnant. She went in to have her baby at one of the hospitals, and she had told them early on that she didn't want the baby to have any vaccinations, and that she wanted them to deliver the placenta when it was ready to come, and to not cut the cord right away. So she had given them instructions. She had a birth plan. Her boyfriend was there with her, and it went crazy haywire. And
Yeah.
it ended up, you remember hearing that
I
story?
do. I
Yeah.
know this couple. I know this mom.
Oh, okay. So yeah. And so they took that baby right out of her arms. She was nursing him. Yeah, her. And and so we got wind of it. A bunch of us in the legislature, so we happened to be in session at the time. And we got wind of it, and we went down to CPS and we got her baby back. Although she still had to, they still had to come in her home and make sure that everything was well. If they were so concerned about that baby, why didn't they take her son out of the home too? Because she had a son, 11 or 10 or 12. I can't remember his age, but
That was a crazy.
wasn't that just?
And
Talk about government overreach and
talk about. I mean, talk about that duality there. You got, and I personally know families, and I've told my story before, where you get teachers that think you're way too involved in your kids' academics, and then they start pressing you with the CPS and all of that, and you're actually actively involved in your kids' academics, and then you have apparently there's like tons of kids running around starving to death and nothing.
yeah.
Nothing.
Yeah.
You got kids bringing meth-laced teddy bears to. No, it wasn't. It was THC-laced teddy bears to school, and it's a known drug house, and CPS is nowhere. Like, come on now, we got to get our priorities straight here. Something.
Now I'm going to be in trouble with them too now.
Yeah. Well, we're not. We didn't name any names or anything like that, so don't worry about it. But
yeah, I don't understand. I don't understand how why there's such a, I don't know, a double standard or what the deal. I just don't get it. Why are we not focusing on these kids that really need to be taken out of these homes instead of people that are good people that are going to, take good care of their children? Yeah. So that was interesting. I'm so glad that we were in session at the time and that we were able to help. That was probably the highlight of my session last session.
I know a couple of those spiders. We'll talk about it. So let's talk about, we kind of touched on parental rights in a roundabout way. Let's talk about parental rights for the average North Dakota. What are you guys working on?
Well, I've got a bill that I'm working on that is actually going to, and I'm not sure how things work in the hospital, but I think I'm going to try. It's going to be a little proactive, so because hopefully things in North Dakota are not. This isn't happening, but it's basically called Simon's Law, and it's based off of a little boy by the name of Simon who was born with trisomy 3, and in the hospital that he was born in, and trisomy 3. Kids can do okay once they get past that birth, and they need help right at first. And the hospital that they were in denied the parents help for that baby, and so that little boy died. Whoa. And so they went to battle, and they have been working all across the country to get Simon's Law passed, which is basically saying that parents have the ultimate authority when it comes to a life and death situations for their children. And so a doctor cannot override a parent's desire to please save my child. They have to try.
Yeah.
And had they tried, because there are other trisomy 3 kids that survive and do okay. I mean, it's not the best thing to have, but it was their baby. It was their little son, and they loved him, and it didn't matter that he had trisomy 3, just like with Down syndrome. I mean,
let me ask you this. Did the doctor not want to try because he figured that the quality of life wasn't worth saving that kid?
Yeah, that's probably what it was.
Jesus.
Yeah.
Oh my God.
Yeah. So, so that's one of the things that I think it's really important that parents have a right to we give mothers the right to kill their babies in their womb, but we won't give parents the rights to fight for their child to live.
Yeah.
So, yeah. I think we've got things a little bit mixed up, but
yeah.
so that's a bill that I'm working on and
Okay.
hoping to get that passed.
Where are you?
And I'm for parents' rights.
This
I'm
is
for parents' rights everywhere. So in everything, whether it's in the schools or, parents have a right to know what's going on in their schools. They have a right to know what's being taught to their children. They have a right. And this isn't something that I struggle with. And I know part of it is because of security. You can't just get into a school, but once you're in that school, once they figured out who you are, you should be able to go to any one of your child's classrooms at any time and sit in there and observe. That should be your right
to be able to do that. That you used to.
Yes, absolutely.
Do that. I've done that many times in Kansas City. And here kind of got me in trouble, but we're not going to talk about that. But parental rights is a huge thing, and we didn't talk about this. So if you don't want to touch it, that's fine. But where were you on the whole 50-50 custody thing?
Okay, so that was interesting because a good friend of mine brought that bill, and she was disappointed in my vote, but I had this other gal that I know from church who had talked to me about this bill, and she said, please vote no on this bill. And so I promised her that I would, because she has a son who has some learning disabilities, or not really learning disabilities, but he's on the spectrum, let's say that. And his dad they're divorced, and his dad lives in a different part of the country. So this boy has to travel to see his dad. And every time he would come back from his dad's house, he would just be totally messed up. And she'd have to go through the whole, getting him, to be able to look at people again and talk to them and carry on a conversation and just to be a normal kid, because he would just get all messed up. So she just didn't want that. She wanted that to stop, because I think, I don't think they had 50-50, but she was worried that if it would pass, that she would have to do 50-50. So,
and then she'd have to get them up to speed all over.
Yeah.
I can understand.
Yeah. So that's what happened with that. But then when that bill was really close to passing, actually, and then I think we brought it back for you can re-vote on it again if somebody that was on the winning side says that they wanted to, or somebody wasn't there. I can't remember how it goes. I forget these things. But anyway, you can re-vote on it for a certain reason. And so we were able to do that vote again. So I did vote yes on it the second time around, but then it didn't pass because other people changed their votes to no. And so that's usually what happens when you try and bring those bills back. They sabotage you. But anyway, so yeah, the more that it depends on the judge. It really depends on the judge, and you're hoping for a judge that's going to look at all the circumstances, take into account everything that's going on with the families, but it's a tough deal. It is, it's just a tough, hard thing.
Divorces are hard.
Yeah,
hard, and you should fight like there is nothing in your life that's worth more than an intact family. And I tell, I have veteran friends, I have other friends that went through separations. Some of them successfully pull their heads out of their Levi's and work to solve it. And I'm talking about the guys, because that's where I'm at. When they come to me, I'm like, and they're like, she's this and she's this and she's that, and I'm like, yeah, but what are you? Let's talk about that.
Yeah.
Because a lot of times, you sit back in introspection, you're like, oh wow, I am kind of a tool. I've had that conversation with myself a couple times, and my wife would say I don't have it enough. But this is something that and I kind of go back and forth on the 50-50. I agree exactly that the situation should be the familial situation should be taken into account, like learning disabilities, how much time he one parent has put into the education, and like just a ton of factors, and it can't be easy. I'm a 50-50 guy. A starting point here, 50-50, and then points.
Hmm.
As it goes for the best interest of the child. Because in my humble opinion, unless there's like abuse or something like that, um, both of you guys are being selfish, and now we're best
Yeah.
interest of the kid, actual best interest, not the weird liberal sense of best interest. But anyway, I'm going to get off that topic. Something my wife and I have talked about many, many, many times with some of our homeschooling friends. The idea of micro schools. Can you talk about that a little bit?
Yeah. So you've already heard about it then.
Well, yeah, not actually micro schools, but the concept of it.
Okay.
So,
Yeah. Yeah. So right now, homeschoolers can homeschool their own children. They can't homeschool their grandchildren or their neighbors' children or anybody else. They can homeschool their children. Homeschoolers can also have what are called co-ops, where they can get together with a group of families, but there has to be one parent there for the children that are there. So it's not like you can just take your kids and drop them off at the co-op. You have to be there with them as well. So what micro schools does is opens it up for a parent to homeschool or to teach at home the neighbors' kids. Perhaps they would like to homeschool, but they are working and they just can't not work. And they're willing to let this other parent teach their children or your grandchildren. I mean, it could be, and we could do it in your home, or you could also do it, you could rent it like a church or go into a church. A lot of places use church buildings where, they are given the basement or, 2 floors or whatever in the church to be able to do that. So they can have more kids in their homeschool or in their micro schools. But so they can arrange anywhere from, maybe 10 kids to, 30, 35 kids. And you can have 1, 2, 3 teachers if you want. If you have, 3 people that are qualified. And in North Dakota, in order to teach homeschool, you just have to have a high school degree, I believe, or a GED, and you're qualified to teach. So when I started homeschooling, you had to have either take the national teachers exam, or you had to have a teaching certificate, or you had to be monitored by a teacher, a public school teacher. And I had a degree in education, but I didn't keep my teaching certificate alive because I was having children and I wasn't planning on going back into teaching. So I didn't keep it. So I ended up taking the national teachers exam, which most all of us that at that time that were just starting homeschooling, a lot of us took that exam and did just fine, where we found out that a lot of the college kids flunked it. But I go back to my education degree and I said, that didn't prepare me to homeschool. My education degree was a lot of busy work, and I feel like I spent a lot of money for a lot of nothing.
Yep.
And so that was back in the, late 70s, early 80s. I don't know that it's probably gotten better, maybe, but I
doubt it.
So, yeah, well, we just passed a bill last session for $1.5 million to teach teachers how to teach basic math. Yeah.
Are you serious?
I am serious. Yeah. And I think it was in 2023 or 2021. I think they did the same thing to teach teachers how to teach phonics. So they're not getting what they need in these college level classes. And plus they were not taught, they got the Common Core and they got the sight reading as they were growing up and going through the, elementary and high school years. So I guess I can look back and I can understand why they need to be taught how to do some of that stuff. Yeah,
I like the concept of micro schools, and I know probably 8, 9, 10 homeschooling parents. Like I would dare say 80% of my friends homeschool,
mm-hmm.
and smart as a whip. All of their kids are also know how to hunt and fish and weld and make knives and like just
they know how to, and they know how to function in society. They know how to hold a job. They know how to work hard. They know how to interact with people. I mean, they talked about socialization when we were homeschooling, and I'm like, my kids are so socialized, they'll talk to anybody, except for one of our daughters was pretty shy, but the other ones were like, oh yeah, whatever. They carry on a conversation with anybody from they could interact with little kids, little babies, or they could interact with adults. They just, they did just fine socially.
Do you want?
When I brought that bill last session, I just wanted to say this. When I brought that bill last session, I was fought tooth and nail by the teachers unions, by DPI lobbyists, and I talked to everybody on the committee, and I had one guy say, oh yeah, I'm all for it, but I'm not going to vote for your bill. Oh, why? Well, because it wasn't a public school bill. It wasn't. And when I asked my head chair, I said, is there anything I can do to this bill that would make you, give it a passing? No. There wasn't anything I could have done.
They believe that kid belongs to them. I've heard it said before. When they walk in those doors, they belong to us. Yeah, no, that's not how it works, buddy.
And I was quoted as saying that, which I did not say. I was repeating what somebody said in the chamber. Yeah. One of the men in the chamber, one of the legislators, made that exact same statement when we were talking back and forth. And he said, when your kid goes through the doors of the school, they're not yours anymore. And I said, is that what did you just say? And I repeated it. And what do you think they grabbed?
Oh,
me saying that, so yeah. I got nailed for that statement. It wasn't mine.
So what do you think DPI's role should be in the homeschooler's life?
None.
Okay. That's it.
That's why the homeschoolers have their own separate section, because they worked a long time back in the early 80s. People went to jail in order to get homeschooling legal in this state. Yep. And they don't want to give that up. And so when it was put in code, they were given a separate code. And so there are homeschoolers, and when the school choice bills come up, there are homeschoolers that want to take the money, and there are homeschoolers that do not want to take the money because they understand what can happen if they take the money. So
I got friends on both sides of that argument. Too.
Yeah. So when the one bill came up, the school choice bill came up, one of them was Ben Koppelman's bill, and he took homeschoolers out for me. And the other one was Michelle Axman's bill, and she would not. So when that actually came to our committee, I was able to do a firewall. I got help from HSLDA, Homeschool Legal Defense Association, who helped me put together, which would make a firewall. So what it did was it protected the homeschoolers in their own code that didn't want the money, but the people that were homeschooling that wanted the money could go under DPI and they could get the money, but they would no longer be considered part of the homeschool in the homeschool code.
Okay.
That makes sense to you?
That does.
Okay. Yeah. So, I was pleased that I was able to do that. And that did go through our committee with a due pass, I believe, but it failed in the House. That bill did.
Okay.
Partly because I don't want to say another thing about that, but
10 Commandments.
We'll talk about that later.
Sure. The 10 Commandments in school. Where are you at on that?
Oh my goodness, yes. We had a bill last session, and of course it failed because they don't want it made mandatory. Because it's right now, they can if they want to. Well, who's going to do it, right? So this would make it mandatory, along with other historical documents that are, the Constitution or the Bill of Rights, or some of these things that are really important that kids know nothing about.
Yeah.
And I think why should it be bad for a kid to look at something that says "Thou shalt not murder"?
Yeah.
Or "Thou shalt not steal"?
Like I don't understand this either, because it's Abrahamic law, and it crosses Judaism, Islam, and Christianity. So what are we talking about? It's Abrahamic law, basic, right there. And I don't understand. And I get, because we've imported, again, so many people that don't share our culture. This is one of the abrasive points right here. Is this. When you do that, you lose bits of your own culture. That's just fact. Like, I
Well,
got a life-size Constitution right behind me. You probably can't see it, but it's right there. Like, our homeschool room is right there. But I have the preamble, the Constitution. I have all of the articles. That's something Eli sees every day.
mhm.
We have like essential liberty. We have the Constitution in book form there. We have what Christianity did for this country. Like, I got a ton of books over there and in our library, and that's what we teach. I want him to know how this country started, what got us to this point, and what's going to eventually lead us back to greatness and prosperity and all of that. And I got news for you. It ain't what the public schools are turning out. It's not gonna happen with that. Our diversity is our strength is, excuse my French, but BS. It just is. We with a shared culture, and it doesn't mean you got to look like me or look like you, but our culture has to be compatible. Because if you don't do that, you lose your culture. Period. Like, I
Right,
can't say it any plainer than that. And
right.
with well, before we get on the media smear job that they did on you. One other thing, because this is a big deal. In Fargo, um, it was brought to my attention about the crack pipes. So I did like just a media blitz on it because nobody knew. And then
Right.
I'm talking to Michelle and a couple of other folks, and I did a couple of shows, and the boofing kits came out, and then the needles and and I couldn't believe it. Like, I read a guy who was in court. I think he was in front of McCullough, and he's like, how can I be charged with something that the city of Fargo gives me? And I'm like, that's a good question.
They can't. They can't be charged.
But yeah, he did. But that's the thing.
He got charged
Yeah, he got charged.
because in law it says that they cannot be charged if they did indeed get it from the needle exchange program. They cannot be charged. But the thing with law enforcement is how can they know?
Yeah.
Because you can't.
I think that's what they argue.
Yeah, that's what they're doing it anyway. Because how can you know? Because who's going to, people aren't going to tell the truth. Well, I don't know. Anyway, but so that's I found out about that too when Michelle started talking about the needles, and I'm like, what in the world are we doing? Yeah. And then we found out about the glass pipes, and it was like, oh my goodness, this is ridiculous. Yeah. Absolutely insanity. Yeah. So I called the health department, and I said, what are we doing, and why is the state of North Dakota funding this? I mean, taxpayers are paying. You are paying for this. I'm paying for this. We're funding it through the state of North Dakota. And she's like, no, it's opioid. It's the opioid money that we got as a settlement or whatever it was. Well, that opioid money didn't last very long, and that still was the people's money. That's still North Dakota's money. And so here again, you're saying, okay. And I say this to everybody when I talk about this. I'm like, okay, if I had a son in my home who was a drug addict and struggling with drugs, so you're saying if I would say to him, oh, honey, I know, we don't want you to get HIV or whatever, some blood-borne illness from dirty needles. So, mommy will go out and I'll get you. And, I don't want you to have to. So I'll get you your heroin or your marijuana or your whatever it is you want to. I mean, what parent would do that?
None.
But as a state, we're saying, we don't care about the needles that are laying around all over the town.
Yeah.
The kids are picking up in parks.
Yeah.
We don't worry about them getting hepatitis or them getting HIV or some blood-borne illness. But we care about okay, so if you're going to do this, then needle exchange means to me, if you bring a needle in and we put it in the box, we will give you a needle.
Yeah.
Does that sound like a needle exchange? Does that sound the way it should work?
That's what an exchange would be. That's
but
not
it's not
what's going on right now.
That's not. No, they're going in and getting as many needles as they want, and then there's supposedly boxes around town that they can put them in. So there's no accountability of how many are coming in, and they're not putting them in the boxes, and everybody knows it. They're throwing them in the gutters, they're throwing them in the parks, they're putting them wherever they're at.
Yeah, let's just be clear. These are not the most responsible people out there. They're not going to go and recycle and. I mean, come on, what are we doing?
So at its best, if you would do a needle exchange program and do it in such a way that they bring a needle and then you sit them down and you say, okay, now you're going to go through this drug rehab program. We're going to do this. We're going to try and get you off of these drugs. We're not going to enable you by giving you more drugs or giving you other things to use to get those drugs into your system, whatever it may be, a glass pipe or a boofing kit and whatever else. I've not been up there, but I've heard there's vending machines.
Yeah.
So they just go to the vending machine.
There were,
excuse me, and
we
get what they want.
A lot of noise about it, so I don't know if they took them out, but there were definitely vending machines.
Right. So if we're gonna do a drug program that we really want to rehabilitate and help these guys come out from underneath these addictions that they have, and they're addicted. It's a horrible thing to be addicted, and I wouldn't want it for any one of my children or grandchildren or my friends or what. I don't want it for anybody.
Yep.
I feel for these people, but we're not helping them. Nope. We're not helping them by feeding their habit and not making them accountable to anything. Yep. Oh, she said, well, we do, we tell them we have counseling service. Well, yeah, they're going to come in and say, and when you say to them, oh, we have counseling services, would you like to? No, they're not gonna. I mean, maybe one or two, but you have to make it that you're going to do this. If you want these needles, you're going to do this.
Yeah, the goal should be to get them off drugs.
Right.
From everything that I've seen, that is not what's going on. I'll tell you what, the director over that little project makes 6 figures.
Yeah.
There you go. Like, it's an industry to those folks. And I don't know what John and all those other guys get out of it, but there's something weird going on over there. But because of time, I want to talk about the big news. Like, people sent me these clips of these 2, I call them Beta Boy forum reporter podcast, and they were calling you bigoted. And I'm positive that you saw that. And then those same people got Armstrong on record as saying, basically, we all know that she's a bigot. That's basically what he said. And I'm just like, oh my God, what did she say? And then I looked at what you said and I'm like, wait, I've said the same thing like 100 million times. What are we talking about? So you want to talk about that controversy?
Well, I put a couple of videos on my Facebook page, and one of them it got like, I think 50,000 hits. I was like, whoa, that was pretty amazing. Yeah. But basically, I'm talking about people that come into our country that have no desire to assimilate. Okay, and immigration without assimilation is invasion, and that's exactly what it is. When you come over here and you don't. When my great grandparents came over here, and I remember my mom talking a little bit about her mom, and that it was huge to them to learn the language. They were Americans now. They were Americans and they were glad to be here, and they wanted to be Americans, and they wanted to assimilate, and they wanted to get jobs, and they wanted to work hard, and they wanted to make something for themselves, because America was the place to go if you wanted to have the American dream. I mean, everybody could do well in America.
And you didn't get the handout.
Right. There were no handouts. Absolutely not. No.
Very different. And we gloss over that.
Yep.
I hear this refrain all the time. We are a nation of immigrants. The Ellis Islands thing. Oh, this, that, and the other thing. And and one, like, it was hard to get over here. So the people that came
Yes.
over here had grit. And then when
Yep.
they got here, if you were a pregnant mom without a father, they sent you back.
Yep.
If you
If
were
you-
sick, they sent you
Yep.
back. If you
Yep.
didn't have something to contribute to this,
They-
to our country, they sent you back. Like,
Yep.
so it wasn't everybody just came over. No, you came over if you could contribute positively to our culture, to our infrastructure, to what we were trying to build. You came in, you worked hard, you became an American. That's how it was. It's not like that now.
No.
We're basically giving people who have no blood, sweat, or familial equity in this country. We're just shoveling them in by the boatload, and then just heaping welfare benefits on them like just hand over fist. It's not
You-
funny.
Do you want to know what refugees get when they come over here?
Is it going to make me mad?
It's going to make you mad. Okay.
Jeez.
So when they come over here, they're eligible with no waiting time, no waiting period for federal benefits. They get Medicaid, they get cash, medical assistance, social services. That me or you? Are we okay now? Oh, I can't hear you. Can you hear me? Yeah? You want me to talk? Okay. So they get supplemental security income. They get supplemental nutrition assistance program. They get temporary assistance for needy families and federal student aid. They get all of that with no waiting period. To me, that's like, okay, you're just setting them up for continued welfare. And I was listening to Brandon Gill, Congressman Brandon Gill out of Texas, and he said that 80, I think it was Minnesota. Where is it at? I got it on my sheet here. 81% of, oh, you got it right there. Yep, 81% of Somali-headed households are on welfare in Minnesota. And after 10 years in the United States, 10 years, still 78% of them are still on some sort of welfare program. So they're not attempting to get off. Okay, so this is the problem I have. I don't have a problem with people coming over here who want to work, who want to assimilate, who want to move next door to me and be an American, get a job, raise your kids. I have no problem with that. But if you're over here and you don't want to assimilate, and you stay within your clan and your community, and you don't mix in with everyone else, you don't want to learn the language, you don't want to follow the laws, you don't love our Constitution, and there's a lot of them here. I'm sorry, but it is a proven fact. There are a lot of people here that do not love our Constitution, and they will try to destroy it because their goal is Sharia law. And I can't hear a word you're saying. You might have to end the show without me.
Testing.
If everybody can hear you. I don't know. Oh, there you are.
Oh, you can hear me now. Okay,
Yep.
good deal. Good God.
I can hear you now. What happened?
I have no idea. Gremlins. So what I want folks to understand is not a thing that you just said, in my humble opinion, is bigoted. Not a single iota, not a syllable, none of it. Here's the statistics right here. So she wasn't just pulling them out of thin air. This is it right here. Tried to pull up the academics, in Minnesota, St. Paul, and conveniently, they don't do that. They don't pull that data out. But again, and then with crime, same thing. They obscure the data so you can't pull out that, and it's just it's crazy. But you said that like we need to be careful, basically, of importing Minnesota's problems.
Yeah.
And that's not verbatim, but I want to show the folks some of Minnesota's problems. Here's one of them.
We had gangs coming to the Minnesota State Fair for 30, 40 years. But they've always agreed the fair is neutral ground. And let's all go have fun and respect the fairgrounds. We've had Hell's Outcast, Hell's Angels here. The Hell's Outcast used to hang by the pickle stand. I've been here for many, many years, but we've never had threats of violence like we're having from the Somali gangs. We will have Karen gangs, we'll have some Hmong gangs here, we'll have some extremists on the right here. But none of them are promising chaos except for the Somali gangs. We sent 233 letters to kids that we know have had association with some of the other gang members. And really, it's a warning letter.
So a guy like me listens to something like that. One, did he just say he mailed out over 200 letters to Somalian gang members? Like, are we serious? Hey guys, just a friendly little reminder: violence is illegal. Murder is illegal. Are you kidding me? Now, take that into consideration. This is the Minnesota State Fair, and you heard what he said. Biker gangs, different other gangs they've always had that. They've never had the problem that they're having now with these gangs.
Yeah.
And he went on to say, like, there's like 100 different murders have been attributed to these gangs, to like 300 individuals in particular, and they're all Somalian gang members, all of them. But we're supposed to look at things like that, look at the just rampant fraud to the tune of billions of dollars. They were, and we talked about this on a prior show, they were duffel bags stuffed with millions of dollars just flying out of the Minneapolis airport. Like, let me get caught with $10,000 on the back seat of my car, and my sheriff or the highway patrolman pulls me over. One, I ain't never seeing that money again. And two, I'm going to have a very, very long conversation with a lot of detectives, and they're going to come to my house, and they're going to bring dogs, and they're going to do all the. How was that allowed to happen? But that's separate. But we're supposed to look at these things and go, it's bigoted if we say anything. If we say, wait a minute, let's pump the brakes on this thing. There are problems here.
Well, there's congressmen then that are bigoted. Our vice president is bigoted because he's called it out. I mean, all over the United States, people are starting to understand that this is a problem. And if we don't do something about it, we're going to be in a world of hurt.
Yeah.
Because there are people over here that, like I said, do not want to assimilate. They hate our Constitution. They hate us. They hate Christians. They hate Jews. And it's Islam.
Yeah.
It's political Islam. And their goal is to take over any country that they can, and when they have enough people in power, they will convert you by the sword.
And that's not you saying that.
And that's not me saying that.
They say that openly.
They say it openly. I have actually. Let me see if I can find it now. Okay, so. This was something that was said by Mohammed Nusrat in the U.S. He was preaching that America is the cancer. That was May 3rd, 2024.
Yep.
Siraj Wahaj, sorry, I'm probably massacring these names.
That's all right.
Again, from Brooklyn, New York. And this was 1995. You want to defend this country? You know what this country is? It's a garbage can. It's filthy and sick. And he's part of the Islamic Society of North America, which is alive and well in this country. And there's more like that. I mean, they're not afraid to come out and say it, that they hate us, that they hate America, and they want to destroy us and our Constitution and our way of life. And I'll tell people don't believe that. Go over to an Islamic country, go over to Iraq, go over there and visit, and try and walk around in your shorts and t-shirt if you're a woman, and see what happens. Try and speak up and protest in the streets in those countries and see what happens. I mean, we had those people protesting against Israel after the Palestinians or the Muslims went in and just completely ravaged Gaza. And somehow that got turned onto Israel. I don't know how that did, because they were the ones that had their people just slaughtered and babies, and the things that they did were atrocious. And this is Islam. This is political Islam. This is what they do. And I heard about a family up in Canada who it was a Muslim family that lived in Canada. And this wasn't too long ago, I don't think. Their daughter went to public school, and she was coming to school and she was being beaten at home. And she had bruises and stuff. And she finally, one day, she went to her teacher and she said, "My parents are abusing me at home." And they were horrified, of course, called in social services or whatever they're called over there, went to the house. And as soon as they found out it was a Muslim couple, guess what they did?
Turned around.
Yep. "We're sorry, we can't help you because you're under Sharia law and we're not going to interfere with that." So is that what we're going to allow in America? I mean, is that what we're going to say it's okay if this little town wants to have their Sharia law and to abuse their children and beat their wives? And, because that's what they do. That's what they do. And it's been proven over the years and years and years. I mean, the information is out there. So, I'm a racist and I'm a bigot and I'm a xenophobe because I'm calling this out. And I fear for my country. I fear for my children and my grandchildren. Not just because of the money that we've lost through fraud, but what are going to be, how far is it going to have to go before people wake up and say, Islam is not compatible with the U.S. Constitution. That's why for many, many years, we did not allow any immigration from those Middle East countries. None, zero. There were none over here. And there was a reason for that. We had to go over there. Thomas Jefferson went over. And we defeated
got the Marines out of the Barbary,
the War of Tripoli and the Barbary Coast Pirates, who were Muslims, and they had to push them back because they were seizing our ships and taking our men and using them as slaves.
But if you don't know history,
right?
That's why that refrain is such a powerful one. You don't know history, you're doomed to repeat it. Like one of the most craziest things I've ever seen was Gays for Palestine. I'm like, wait, what? What? Do you know what'll happen to you if you went over there with your little rainbow flag?
Yeah.
Right? There's none of that. And just be a Christian and go over to one of those Muslim countries and see how they treat you. Like it is, and we already have, like right now, and I couldn't believe this, Texas is a hotbed of Muslim activity right now. They're building huge infrastructures for Islam. New York, they were trying to, and luckily they got it stopped, but they were trying to build a mosque on the site of 9/11. They were trying to build a mosque there. And it's what they do. They conquer and they put that shiny dome up there. That's not me saying that. That's them saying that. They're taking over entire towns, like Dearborn. Here, listen to this.
You're only 1% of this nation. We are not a nation of Muslims. We are a nation of Christians. We are one nation under God, indivisible, the God of the Bible, the God of the Lord Jesus Christ. That's the God whom we serve. I want you to prove to me we're not up under Sharia law. Will you denounce, Councilman O'Reilly, will you denounce Sharia law?
Nope.
Will you denounce Sharia law?
Nope.
Will you I know you won't. Will you denounce Sharia law? No. Abraham, you went to Hillsdale. Will you renounce Sharia law? Will you renounce Sharia law? America, we have lost this city. This is a city that is no longer up under American laws. We are up under Sharia law.
Now, look at that date there. That was this month, this year.
Yep.
This is Dearborn, Michigan.
Yep.
I mean, it's already happened, and for someone, especially an elected representative, to practice and preach caution against an ideology that is just diametrically opposed to, like, there are things that I don't like about the feminist movement, but I don't want women beaten and covered head to toe. And if you look at another guy, I could stone, like, diametrically opposed. Like, there is nothing in that religion that can square with our worldview over here. Like,
Not at
nothing.
all. Not at all.
That Constitution behind me, they would rip that up because that's too much freedom.
Oh,
They-
absolutely. Yeah. Oh, yeah. They burn the American flag. I mean, you go over there, you know how they hate Americans. You talk to some of the soldiers that have been over there and what happens over there. They know. These guys that have come back from places like Afghanistan and Iraq, they know what goes on over there.
Yeah.
And there is no freedom there. And they're using our freedom against us. That's what irritates me the most.
Yeah.
Let me read something to you. In 1802, Nathaniel Freeman, who was a physician and judge, charged the Massachusetts grand juries, and he said this: "Ours is a government of laws and not of men, originating in the voluntary compact of a people who in that very instrument profess the Christian religion. It may be considered not as republican like Rome was, a pagan, but a Christian republic. This religion, being founded not in fable as that was, but in divine revelation, embraces the Bible as the word, will, and law of the universal sovereign, our obligations to and expectations from whom, as well as his perfections and attributes, we can know but little about. The laws of that system, therefore, must be respected as of high authority in all our courts, and it cannot be thought improper for the officers of such government to acknowledge their obligation to be governed by its rule." I mean, our government was founded on the principles of God's word, and you can go back and you can look at the founding fathers and their papers. If you go back, if anybody would just go back and look at what the founding fathers talked about, the one main person that they quoted in almost all their papers and every speech, the main philosopher was Jesus Christ. They quoted the Bible time and time and time again. And I can't remember who said this, but it was one of the founding fathers who said, our republic can only survive with a moral and a religious people.
Yep.
And without that, the Constitution isn't going to save us. It's the people that we elect to the offices to enforce through that Constitution and to stay by those laws. So once we have, if you get to a point where you've got a bunch of Ilhan Omars in office,
yep,
our Constitution will mean nothing. It's not going to save us because it's the people that we elect to office to preserve the freedoms that we have. And so
they raised the Somalian flag over Minneapolis.
Oh, and that just, yeah.
Like, what are we doing? What are we doing? Oh, so Claire's gonna kill me. But you're right. Our form of government is adequate only for a moral and just people. I don't remember who that's attributed to, but that's absolutely, because you can't have ultimate freedom. And our founders wanted us to have individual rights and liberty, God-given rights and liberty that the government protected. And if you don't have a moral and just people, that can get out of hand really quick.
Yep.
Really quick. And that's what they were talking about. To say it in a up-to-date phrase, with great power comes great responsibility.
Yeah.
Like, you can have a guy that's powerful, but if he's evil, you got a problem.
Right.
If he's good, then evil has a problem.
Right.
And that's how we were set up to be. And it's been just turned on its head. And it seems to me that there are way too many folks who are either too naive or they have aligned interests. And I talked about this on the Due North Political Podcast. Like the left and Islam have an aligned interest. They both hate Western principles and values, and they want to see us fall. That's their aligned values. Now, once that happens, the left, I don't know if they don't realize it, but the Islamists are going to gut them. There's no way that they're going to allow the liberal mindset, in like Sharia law or whatever country they're from or whatever country they're trying to establish. None of that. Like all the liberal women that are out there, with their Palestinian flags, you're not going to see any more of that. That's all burqa, all of it.
Yep.
We will have zero homosexuals in this country, zero, if it's Sharia law.
Yep.
It's not a thing. You can't.
No.
I don't think that people understand, and our elected representatives that are saying, "Hey, let's pump the brakes on this. Let's look at this thing. Let's see," because there are hotbeds and there are real problems and issues that we can see, we can point to, and go, "Hey, this is a problem." And pointing that stuff out is not bigoted. And I don't care what the soy boys at the forum says. That's not xenophobic. That's not big. That's loving your country, loving your culture, and wanting to preserve it. There is nothing wrong with that. Nothing. And I'll give you the last word. If your base is listening, and they are, and probably a couple other folks that are going to pick this thing apart, but if they're listening, what do you want to leave them with?
I guess what I talk to my friends about all the time is if you love America, if you love the freedom that we have here, you're going to have to stand up and fight for it. Our founding fathers gave their lives, their fortunes, and their sacred honor. And most of them, they were very wealthy men, and they gave everything that they had because we didn't have any money to fund the Revolutionary War. There was no federal government to give them money. They used their own. And they gave their reputations. They put their reputations on the line. They were willing to give it all, whatever it took for freedom, because they understood that freedom comes from God. That's where our freedom comes from. And it should not be denied to anyone. And if you want to, because we have because we have so much freedom in the United States, actually, these people are using our laws, our freedom against us. Yep. Which is why our founding fathers were so brilliant in saying we're not going to bring Middle Eastern government over here because it's not compatible. And we know it's not compatible because theirs is a totally different law than what we have. And theirs does not involve freedom and ours does. Yep. And so, it's hard to speak up because people don't like it when you speak up. But if we want to keep our freedom, if we want to keep our country, we're going to have to not be silent. We need to get to the polls, and we need to vote in conservative people that are going to stand for your freedom and for your parental rights, your landowner rights, your citizens' rights, and stand against the government blowing up and using all your money for all its little projects that you have no interest in. So I don't know. I guess that I love America. I love my country. I'm proud of our flag. I'm about as red, white, and blue as you can come. And I love the Lord and His word, and my convictions are strong, and I'm not gonna waver on those.
That's good. That's what I want out of a representative. If someone is representing me, that's what I want to hear. Like you can look at Fargo, and you can see what liberal governance got Fargo: crack pipes and boofing kits, and $1.7 trillion in the hole. And just the downtown of Fargo looks nothing like it looked when I got here in 96, 97, just complete. And you can go to South Fargo, same thing. Go to the mall, same thing. Go to the Mall of America and tell me what you see. I I could do video reel after video reel of and I'm just going to say it, white Minnesotans getting curb stomped by Somalian gangs. Like, it blows my mind that more people don't talk about this. It is a big deal. One of the reasons I don't go to Fargo is because, well, one, I'm always armed anyway, but I don't want the headache. I don't want the headache because of what they've allowed that city to become. And if folks don't, and I'm a transplant. I'm a Louisiana boy. So if native North Dakotans don't stand up and just say, hey, wait a minute, without fear of being called a bigot. Because I don't know if you noticed, we've talked for almost 2 hours. I spoke to you for almost 2 hours on the phone the other day, and I'm black, you know. So if you were a bigot, I don't think that conversation would have. And my worldview is almost, I'd say, like 90 some odd % aligned with yours. We just haven't discussed everything. But
you got to remember, if you ain't black if you didn't vote for Biden.
Yeah. See, you want to upset me at this late hour. Good grief.
Sorry, I have friends of color. Yeah. I have people I love that are of color. I am the farthest from racist, obviously. Yeah. I don't care what color skin you are, but if you're going to defraud the government, if you're going to hate America, I'm going to come out against you. I'm not going to put up with that. I don't care what color your skin is.
Yeah. And there ain't nothing wrong with that. I'm just going to say that. So I'm going to close out. I did not hit all my commercials. I'll just have to take some heat from Clay. But I want to thank you for coming on and just, chopping it up with me and showing everybody that, and I saw your video and I thought it was brilliant. So, but just basically showing everyone that what they're reporting in the media, even in conservative spaces, we got to do better. Like, we got to do it. If we're going to malign good representatives like her, we're not going to have a country, because what you're going to get is the squishes. You're going to get the people who are politically correct and they say the right things, and then you're going to turn around and you'll have Dearborn or Little Mogadishu or set up right here in North Dakota. And I think that's kind of the goal. I think it's a weird dynamic, but there you go. BlackBeardLogic, Guns in the 701. Good night. God bless. Thank you for coming on again, Representative Morton.
Thank you for having me. Appreciate it.